suspect!
Coming to get you, Bobber.
Walter's got Nards!
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the top 10 movies of 2021. Now I recently just showed you my top 10 horror movies of 2021. The reason I show you the horror ones first is because if I showed you my top 10 movies of 2021, then you would be able to count down my horror movies if there's any horror movies that made the top 10 list. That's why I do the horror first and then I do all genres after the horror ones. And then number 10 is Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now it doesn't take much to entertain me. I'm a fan of old and new, so when it comes to nostalgia I love it, but also I don't mind when they try and make movies that people love. I know that some people hate remakes and reboots, etc. That's not me. I'll watch a movie and I'll like it for what it is, and that's what Ghostbusters Afterlife does for me. It's got a little bit of nostalgia in it, which is great. Looking at my kids' faces while watching this movie also helps me determine if I like a movie as well, because if my kids are having fun, I tend to feel like I'm having a little bit more fun than I normally would without the kids, and that's what Ghostbusters Afterlife was for me. Is a fun family movie that exceeded my expectations because I wasn't expecting much. People say you're not going to get any better than the first Ghostbusters movie or even the second one, and this one I think it rivals the second movie. It's a lot better than the remake from 2016, but again I enjoyed the remake from 2016, so you can understand that if I enjoyed the remake from 2016, then this one being a lot better should obviously easily make my top 10 of 2021. And then number 9 is Last Night in Soho. As you'll know, this made number 3 on my horror list, and again I don't really want to go through everything that I said before, but one of the reasons why this is still in the top 10 of all the movies in 2021 is because it is a mesmerising movie to watch. When you watch this movie, whether you understand it or not, which I did understand, but if you sit back and watch this and just watch the way this movie is directed, it was stunning. You know, Edgar Wright knows how to direct a movie, and this is one of his probably better directed movies, if not his best directed movie. I don't mean it's his best movie that he's ever directed, but the way he directed this movie was flawless. He made 1960s London look like we were in 1960s London. That's how detailed he made this movie. It was astounding, and again that's why this movie makes the top 10. And at number 8 is Zack Snyder's Justice League. I know, boo boo boo. I thought Justice League before the Zack Snyder cut was actually decent. It was okay. Obviously it was like an empty shell of a movie, but some of the bits that it showed were not too bad. It wasn't one of the worst movies of all time, but I went into this one, you know, very cautious because I know there's a 4-hour movie and they could just be giving us fillers, but it did feel like a genuinely different movie to the one from 2017, and I thought it was great. And even though it was a 4-hour movie, it didn't feel like a 4-hour movie. It felt like 2.5 hours or so. I was enjoying the movie all the way through it. The sound effects were a lot different, the music, the timing of everything was completely different. Less weird CGI, more better CGI. I think overall, I don't know why. Maybe it's because the movie was so improved from 2017 is why it's high on a list and it makes my top 10. I don't know, but it's been a while since I watched it again, but it ticks a lot of boxes for me. And it feels like it shouldn't because of the disaster of 2017, but it's so improved that it is a great movie. So the action scenes were great. Steppenwolf felt a lot better. I'm glad they introduced Darkseid into the movie. Yeah, nothing but positives for this Zack Snyder version. And then number 7 is Halloween Kills. Yep, it's another horror movie that makes it onto the list. It was number 2 of my horrors. And again, I've probably said this time and time again, I had nothing but fun with Halloween Kills from start to finish. I was on the edge of my seat. It wasn't groundbreaking stuff. There was no Oscar-worthy performances in this movie. It was just Michael Myers killing lots of people all the way through the movie, and that's not what I love in horror movies. I don't watch horror movies just to watch people die. That's not what it's all about. But I'm forgiven for Halloween Kills because there's a clue in the title, Halloween Kills, and it is the middle chapter leading to the end of what I hope to be a better movie. And then number 6 is Nobody. This is one that leaves all your troubles at the door. You can forget about the real world. We're going into a movie that's basically a movie You don't have to think about real life politics, racism, sexism, nothing like that. When I watched this movie, I just enjoyed it for what it was. It was almost like that, a more comical John Wick, but still very serious at the same time. And it doesn't deal with real world problems. It's a fake movie that is completely unrealistic, and that's what I loved about this film. It was great. We had a guy who didn't look like he was in the best shape. He didn't look like he could beat anyone up, and that's what I like about these type of movies. You get someone who wouldn't be able to do anything in real life and does stuff to the bad guys that you would want to do in real life, and that's what it is. It's living a fantasy, this film, and it's a complete fantasy, but a fantastic movie. The choreography, the fight scenes were so realistic looking. I felt every punch, every kick, every gunshot, everything. It was so good, and obviously Christopher Lloyd just tops it off. Wow. And then number 5 is The Guilty. This is one movie that I know not a lot of people have watched yet, and I highly recommend it. It is a remake. I didn't know it was a remake until I watched the movie. I've not seen the original, but this movie was scary, and it's not a horror movie, but I was on the edge of my seat all the way through the movie. Now, this is a film that's got 3 or 4 people acting face to face in the movie. The rest of them are voice actors, like Peter Sarsgaard, for example, but Jake Gyllenhaal carried this movie from start to finish for 90 minutes. It was jaw-dropping, it was amazing. The performance by him was unbelievable. Remember, he's not even looking at anyone in the face, he's talking to someone over a phone on a computer screen, and he still manages to capture that dread of what he's hearing over the phone. It was incredible. If you want to know more about what I think of it, then watch my review, because there's so much more about this movie than just seeing Jake Gyllenhaal's performance. It's about mental illness, it's about suicide, all those things. There's too much to talk about, so please watch my movie review if you want to know more about it. But this movie was amazing. And then number 4 is A Quiet Place Part 2, and this movie just happens to be my number 1 horror of 2021. So the good news is, the top 3 movies you're not going to know, but this one, yeah, it is the best horror movie of the year. And I said before, one movie that maybe some people will forget about because it did come out so early in the year, and it was a movie that was delayed by a year as well. And so by the time the movie came out, maybe people lost interest in it, but I didn't. I was looking forward to the movie. It didn't disappoint me at all. Didn't live up to A Quiet Place Part 1, but it would be hard to do. But still, I'm not going to say it's equally as great, because it wasn't, but it's still a fantastic movie, and clearly the best horror movie of the year, and it does make the top 5, top 4 of 2021. And then number 3 is Free Guy. Now this is probably the most surprising film of the year for me, because when I saw the trailer for it, I thought, looks great, but it is Ryan Reynolds playing Ryan Reynolds, as we all know. And I thought, okay, it might be a messy movie, but it looks like it's going to be fun. So I was going in expecting a little bit of a fun movie, and I got more than that. This was the best movie of the year for me for most of the year. The other 2 movies that are now better, I didn't see until recently, but this was a fantastic film, and it was just more than Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds in a video game. It was way more than that. It was about people, it was about people getting together, fighting for what's right, etc, etc. And although it does deal with real world problems, it does it in a fun way that you can still escape from the real world and just enjoy the movie for what it is. It was so unique as well. Yes, there's probably movies that are similar to it, maybe movies that Free Guy took some inspiration from, but watching this movie you wouldn't think that. Watching this movie, I thought I was going through a unique experience, a unique cinematic experience, and it was absolutely brilliant. And then number 2 is Nitram. Now, if you do follow my movie reviews, you probably know that this was going to make the top 10. I don't think I cried as much in Nitram as I've ever cried before for any movie. I was crying all the way through this movie, and it's because of the story, first and foremost. It's a true story, but the performances in this were just incredible. I've seen a lot of great performances in movies and people not getting recognition for it, and I know that's exactly what's going to happen with Nitram. This is going to just fly way under the radar for the Academy, even for you guys as well. I bet most of you guys who are watching this video right now had never even heard of Nitram. It is absolutely incredible, and I don't want to talk about it over and over again. Please watch my movie review for it if you want to know more about it. Same with every other movie on this list. If you want to know more about my thoughts, I've done a movie review for quite a lot of them. But this one, you'd need to go deep into this truly understand the movie. It's one film you have to experience, whether you see it at the cinema or at home, preferably at home, because it is a hard movie to watch. You're not going to be disappointed. Yes, it will be hard to watch for most people, but it's a necessary movie. Honestly, that's all I can say. And at number 1 is Spider-Man No Way Home. Yes, I'm going to play that cliche guy where a Marvel or a DC movie makes it at number 1. I didn't want to be that person, but I had to be true to myself. This movie was unbelievable. Now, I go to the cinema all the time and see movies, and I've seen American cinemas where they all scream and stuff, and I hate the idea of that, because in the UK we don't really scream around or shout at the cinema screen. But when I went to see No Way Home, every 5 minutes everyone was screaming and erupting because of what they've witnessed on screen, and I kind of joined in. I was clapping and stuff because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. You know, I was 18 when the 2002 Spider-Man came out, and I didn't go and see it at the cinema. I went to see all the other ones after that. I just didn't see the first one. But seeing certain characters come back after all these years, not only just coming back, but interacting with other characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, this is still a big universe, but those characters who we all grew up loving, coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the manner that they did, you're just like, oh my god. And that's not just the reason why this is number 1. Yes, it plays a massive factor in this movie being number 1, but the movie itself, it felt like it was going to be too big to make everything happen in one movie, but they pulled it off. You know, there was lives at stake in this film that we never saw before in a Tom Holland movie. You know, Tom Holland's Spider-Man films were never really movies or where Peter Parker had anything at stake. He was beating the bad guy and running off saying like, oh, I'm cool, I'm just a kid, and that's it. You know, they were fun popcorn movies. And as much as No Way Home is also a fun popcorn movie, things were at stake. People die in this film. Other characters come in and feel like they are more menacing. You've even got Green Goblin, who is more menacing in this film than he was in the original Spider-Man movies. You've got Willem Dafoe playing Green Goblin for the first time in years, who gives us a better performance in this film than he does in the original Spider-Man film. That's how great this movie was, and that's not just all props to Willem Dafoe, that's props to the writing, that's props to the director. The way this film was made was incredible. The scale of this film felt like Avengers Endgame, and I didn't think we were going to get that for a long time, but this rivals Endgame and being one of the most epic Marvel Cinematic Universe movies of all time, and that's why this movie makes it to number 1. So that is my list, guys, and just like the horror movie list, there might be some movies that didn't make the list because A, I didn't like them as much as maybe you did, or B, I simply didn't see the movies. But leave your list down below, guys. What is your top 10 movies of 2021? And let me know what you think of mine as well. I know there's going to be some people who don't like that, but that's where we go. So leave your comments down below, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.